the minutes for the June 17, 2025 Township Board of Trustees regular meeting.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Any changes or anything? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Supervisor remarks. The only, I have a couple of just announcements. They come and measured for the door, and so that is on order, front door. And the other thing, I think that's really only building update. We're almost done with the architect came, so he's almost done with the blueprint, so we're almost ready to send it back out for the alterations to the hall. The other thing is, so I sent out an email about having a meeting on the 11th to the 12th of August for to do the road, work on the private road amendment again, and got some responses that was okay. If there's anyone who can't do the 12th, please let me know. Otherwise, we'll plan for 7 on the 12th. It is a Tuesday, not a Wednesday. So that's the plan for that. I'm sure you will have many things to tell us at that point. I think that's it for this. Okay. So the agenda. We don't have any alterations. I don't know if anyone else had any.
If I may, I just have one small request, if anyone would like to entertain. The Parks and Recreation Committee, that's 3 appointments,
Yes.
not 2. And Bill is not here, but he would have been here to answer any questions if you had regarding item D in the discussion.
I was going to talk about that.
Yeah, if you want to pull that up, then I can stay back for that one item and then leave after.
So the upgrade the website?
Yeah.
Okay. I think with that in mind, so I would like to move to amend the agenda so that we have 3 appointments for the Parks and Rec Committee. And I think I would like to put in the discussion items D, the website upgrade suggestions, to the beginning of that list. So it would be item A in the discussion items. So that way we can talk about it. More sure you
I move to accept the agenda as amended.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Call to vote.
Good evening, I'm Tom Neal from 723 Kingsbridge Court, Webster. I'm here on behalf of the Planning Commission. I would like to invite any of our board members and the public to our meeting tomorrow night. If you have not looked at the agenda, there's an item on there of interest that may come back to you folks. We have about an hour and a half dedicated to animal care and nuisance training from Paul Saluka's daughter, who's a trained veterinarian, and also a member of the Washington Animal Control Group, who's going to talk to us because, according to your minutes, you're sending the nuisance ordinance for animals back to us. So if you'd like to be a little bit informed about what the laws are affecting that, please feel free to join us tomorrow night for a not too long meeting, I hope. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Peter Stevens, 7500 Charters Lane. Just a couple comments. I know that there was supposed to be a bid on the door. I'd heard a couple of comments about it, that one of the things missing from the pro facade renewal is the fact that there will be still no ADA accessible handicap button to open the door for anybody, but we're still spending fair amount of money on that front facade. My second comment is just more to the last meeting. The individual that we have elected to oversee the township finances, John Scharf, suggested to the board that we are getting to a point of a lot of this spending being too much and potentially reckless. I agree with John Scharf on this. One of the things, Mike, that you ran on was saving the township money, and I'm wondering when that's going to begin. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Comments of board members. And I'll go first just to answer Peter's question about the door. Yes, we are going to have an ADA fund. What we decided not to splurge on is those mullions that are, so our front doors will just be straight up glass now. So, but we will have, that's kind of the whole point. So, any other comments? Board? Seeing none. Audit presentation. I'm going to try it, I guess. Whichever way you want to.
Well, good evening. It's a beautiful evening out there too. So I just want to introduce us. I'm John Pfeffer, partner with the firm Pfeffer, Hanford & Helka. And with me tonight is Kristen Polonowski, who really manages the job, does all the hard work. And I'm just going to kind of take over a little bit tonight as far as our discussion. But last time Kristen did it.
And she did a great job.
Yeah, probably not better than me. But anyway, I just want to also say it's a privilege to be your auditors. We come out to Webster. It's this beautiful community. You know, everyone's so nice here in the hall. Working with all of the staff, it's something we really look forward to. You okay to keep going? Yeah, go ahead. All right. Along with that too is we want to say thank you to all the staff of the township. What this allows us to do is get the audit done timely and within budget. You're a March year end, and so we're very timely. And today, hopefully, when we're done, we approve the audit so we can submit it to the state of Michigan. So, you know, good. We're right on schedule, and that's because, you know, again, you've done a great job. Along with that, I also wanted to mention that, so again, you know, the staff doesn't really, no one really can kind of give them a grade or say, you know, let the board know what's going on. So I want to start in the area of accounting. What's important for me or as us as auditors is if I was on the board, which would be when we came in to do the audit, we had very few, hardly any journal entries were proposing, so changing your books, very little. So that means the information you're getting is very accurate, which is important to make your decisions, you know, during the year. So that's an important thing that I did want to mention. You know, as far as the audit goes, you're probably at kind of the top level of what we run into in most of our units. Along with that, that allows us to issue the highest level of opinion, which is what we're doing tonight. It's called an unmodified opinion. And the state of Michigan looks at this very closely. Once you approve the audit and you send it to them, probably tomorrow, they'll be looking at that opinion for things like, which are very important, continuing your state share revenues. And then also, should you have to go out for any bonding or debt in the future, you know, it would be helpful for that. Along with that, I just wanted to mention, because the township has no debt, which is really good. So we've had really good fiscal management as far as staying away from possible debt out there. So, you know, that's been a good thing that you've been able to do over the years. So, from the standpoint, the audit, we're giving the highest level of opinion, which is the unmodified opinion. But the overall financially, the general fund, you're able to actually maintain the fund balance even after you transfer over $600,000 to the capital improvement fund. So you did move $600 to the capital improvement fund, and that was, I think, a lot of those expenditures were for the parking lot. So you use that money, But the general fund, even after doing that, you were able to maintain the general fund, which was good. So we were glad to see that. The other area that we look at that's very important is the area of the treasurer. So what we do is we test whether treasurer is dispersing timely, which means when the tax monies come in, there's very stringent requirements about dispersing them to all the different units. And again, it's a challenge to do it, and the treasurer, John Sharp, has done a great job with that. So that's an area we look at very closely to make sure that's done, because there's a lot of money coming in and out of the township during that period of time. Also, which was really good, is the township had over $8 million, of which was really about 100% insured, or are basically in a position where no one would have to worry about that, which is very important. Because again, I use this statement all the time, it's sort of like grandma's money. The money has to be in the bank on Monday, should have been occur on a Friday. And the good news is, John's done a great job with that. So maintaining, the security of that money, and at the same time, was able to earn over $232,000 in interest, which was a 3% return. So that 232 goes a long way helping cover costs of the township. So that's important to do that hand in hand. So I did want to mention that. So one other fact, again, as auditors, obviously this past year you did not levy the operating millage. And all we're saying as auditors is annually, or if you have a plan, you should be reviewing that going forward, because state share revenues does go up and down. This last year was the first time in a while it went down a very small amount, 1.4%. So there was a slight decrease, and 50% of your general fund revenues come from state share revenues. State share revenues are generated from sales tax, income taxes of businesses. So again, if the economy is up, that's helpful. If there happens to be a lag in the economy, then that could affect it. So all we're saying as auditors, that you should just annually review that just to in your budgeting process. And I guess with all that, I'll just leave it open for any questions that you might have, and then if you could approve the audit report tonight.
Does anyone have any questions? Would someone like to approve the audit report?
I'll move to approve the auditor's report.
I'll second. I'd also have them send it to the state on our behalf.
Any other discussion?
Maybe they'll sue us tomorrow.
Well,
Okay.
Just as discussion, big thanks to John for putting our stuff in order so it's easy to see what's going on.
We'll second now. Lots you can do. All right, so we should do a roll call for this.
So, aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Aye, sir.
I would just like to say that I really appreciate what you do. I also really appreciate what our staff has done to help support. Thank you very much.
all right, thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, remind to be,
She turned it off. Oh, she turned it off.
They're all off? Got
So we have to shout.
it. To speak loudly now.
okay, we'll speak loud.
One of the microphones must be misbehaving, and I wonder if it isn't that one.
I don't think we have a problem until that. We can try to turn back on.
Turn it back on, and let's run a test. Just turn the system on, please, Donna. And if each one of us could say something and see if it crackles. Can you hear me?
Hold on, you have to return it.
Oh, you turned it off there too?
That's what was crackling.
Check, testing, no? Hello? No, mine's still on.
Hello? Mine works.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes.
Mine is for
I think it's that one.
Yeah, I think so too.
Right here.
Okay.
Sign that working,
This work?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, treasurer's report.
I thought John and Kristen would stay for this. Okay, again, I wanna make special thanks, express special thanks to Amanda, to Tony, and to Linda especially. Bill too, because Bill was the one that made the adjusting journal entries. Yeah, the audit was a little bit different this year, but it was a positive outcome. I would refer you to normally they walk us through some of the particulars in the actual heavy report, which is what, 60 pages or something. I would like to refer you to this chart, which is the general fund revenue pie chart. It's true what John said as far as the majority of our revenues come from state revenue sharing, the majority of which is from our share of the sales tax. And so how consumers behave has a direct impact on what revenue we get. We get a state revenue sharing deposit every other month, so we get 6 a year. And I wanted to show you, I wanted to draw your attention to that, and if you go back and look at an earlier pie chart from any year prior to last year, you don't see this the slice that we have this year in the pink, which is called federal grants. There's $345,000 there, which I find this to be somewhat misleading. So that is the last portion of the ARPA funds that we received. But we received that money before last year. But the way that I have to account for the money, it doesn't show up as revenue until we spend it. And we spent it last year. So that $345,000 wasn't really, truly new revenue last year. It was just that we recognized it last year. And so if you look at this total revenues for last year of 1.7 million, it really was more close to our traditional average of about 1.4 million. So the other thing I wanted to highlight for you on that is probably even as soon as next month, this board is going to have to make a decision on what we levy for the various millages. And we have 4 millages that we are authorized to levy. And as John mentioned, we did not levy any general operating millage last year, meaning 2024. And this revenue number is without collecting 2024 revenues. If you add the state revenue sharing of 842,000 to the 214,000 of tax administration fees and the 85,000 of cable franchise fees, that allowed us to have enough revenue to cover all of our expenses with $121,000 to spare. We didn't levy any general operating millage, and we had 121,000 more coming in as revenue than we did as expenditures. I wanted to point that out because if you look at the expenditure chart, which is a bar chart in this report that we got tonight, for years and years and years, by far the biggest bar was for road maintenance. And we have no road maintenance in this expenditure for this year. And that's why we were able to not levy the operating millage and still end up with a budget, a revenue surplus. I just wanted to bring that all to your attention so that it was in your head when we come to the table next month and decide whether or not we're going to levy the full amounts or partial amounts on millages. I would like to remind everyone, they probably don't need reminding, but the summer tax collection is underway. We started collecting summer tax on July 1st. I believe next on the agenda, we're going to do some budget amendments to bring some of the items in our budget in line with the reality of our spending. I would like to say on the revenue and expenditure report, so we're 3 months into the fiscal year. We're 25% of the way into the fiscal year. If you exclude the transfer from the general fund to the capital fund, we're at 24.3% of our budgeted expenditures. So we're right where we should be. We're spending slightly less than what we budgeted for. I mentioned it last month, and Mr. Stevens alluded to it a little bit. The big beautiful bill is now law. We have some clarity on what those impacts will be. A huge portion of Michigan's revenues come in the form of federal funds for Medicaid. The way that that law was structured, those Medicaid cuts will probably not hit Michigan until after the 2026 election. So my personal view is that our budget revenue from the state is going to get crunched in 2027. It may get crunched sooner than that, but I can't imagine that it won't in 2027. And last but not least, if you looked at the bank balance by fund, you may have noticed that there was some six-figure in and out activity within the PDR fund. That is a direct result of the fact that we had a CD at Huntington Bank. I will say plainly to anyone that cares to listen, I was completely dissatisfied with how Huntington serviced us. So when that CD matured, I closed the account and I took the money and moved it to PNC. I will move it again once I've decided the best landing place to get us the most return on that money, but for right now, it's sitting at PNC. So roughly speaking, 100 grand came out and was moved to another bank, and it shows up in that fund report. Those are my comments. As always, I welcome your questions, comments, and advice.
John, if I may, just want to follow up on your summary for the pie chart. You have excluded from that the roads budget, correct?
We did not spend any money out of the general operating fund for roads last year.
Yeah, that's correct. But you're saying for general operating, those items cover our expenses, but essentially alluding that we're not needing to levy an operating tax, but we have increased a roads budget, a roads tax.
Correct. Correct.
It's a little bit of different buckets, but
well, except that
people are still paying taxes.
Except that you can spend a general operating dollar on almost anything. You can only spend $1 on roads.
Also true.
I'm sorry to you folks out there, this is not supposed to happen.
You shut it down again?
I would poll the audience.
Someone want to catch the record?
Other comments or questions or advice?
Have we heard anything from the road commission? The work is done for this year, right? I believe.
I don't think it's done necessarily. We did receive our first bill. Yeah, like to talk about roads a little bit when we get to the consent agenda.
Okay. I would move that we accept the treasurer's report and pay the bills as well as those anticipated bills received before our next meeting scheduled for August 20th, 2025.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, Jeff, please.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Very good. Okay, so consent agenda reports, so we'll pull out the road one. So we can talk about that. I did not get a sheriff's report in time. Oh, there's no road.
Yeah. John, there wasn't a road.
We didn't get a report.
You didn't get a report from roads. so-
Well, I can talk about it under item 15 then.
Okay. Okay, oh yeah, so the sheriff, we have a new lieutenant, so, I'll bring both reports for next month. And, a little different this time, so we do have 3 special event applications that are in there, they're all complete, and,
That, I'm sorry, Mike, I hate to,
oh,
they are, in my opinion, they're not complete because the one for the market, the winter market, their insurance will expire before their sessions. So if we're going to approve,
wrong hearing.
yeah, we'll get there. If we're going to approve that, I would stipulate that we approve it with the condition they provide us, and I'm sure they will, but they provide us with an up-to-date insurance.
So we should pull that out of the consent agenda.
It is. It's not in here. Okay. So we do have it then. Okay.
Well, so we do have.
Apparently we do.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't.
Oh, no, that's okay.
It's not in here, but it, so.
We did get it. Okay.
Okay.
So they're, okay.
I have a quick question about the fire stuff. We seem to be trending up, but not just us, but the other city and township. I mean, Dexter Township as well, and the city. Has there been any discussion on the fire board about the trend? It seems like a lot more this year. I mean, not just this year. You can look and see it going up last year, and this year seems to be peaking. Any discussion on that?
Are we still pulling stuff out, or are we talking about stuff?
Without around.
Well, I guess we're gonna pull out the fire one technically, so, yeah, we're talking about the fire one.
Jeff, there's been no discussion specifically about, you know, cause of trends, other than, you know, general population and activities and people on the move,
Okay.
causing accidents, you know, what have you.
Okay. I mean, it could be higher population, it could be
Well,
aging population, and it could be they've changed their policy that they're responding to something that they weren't before. I don't know, that's what I'm curious about.
So, there's two, in the last few years, there's 2 primary drivers. And just to give some background on how the fire board operates, at the December fire board meeting, we approve a spending plan. So the chief basically drafts a budget, and then the board, historically, the board has approved the budget as presented. More recently, we've been inclined to trim it back a little bit, but more or less, the spending plans have gone up every year. Most recently, for 2 main reasons. One is we've been adding head counts year after year for a few years. So we're currently now at an authorized head count level of 18 full-time firefighters. We've been adding them 3 at a time. Before that, we were 15. Before that, we were 12. So every time you add 3 more firefighters, you're adding a lot more cost. The other thing is, in the last negotiation with the union for the 3-year labor agreement with the union, the per year increases were quite large compared to historic measures because we were catching up. We were not attractive financially, and we were not getting a lot of applicants, and we weren't able to keep the applicants that we would interest. And so I am pleased to say that although now it's more expensive for us to have a firefighter, the last time we advertised positions, we got 9 applicants. Prior to that, we were not getting more applicants than we had jobs for. So you had 3 openings, you got 3 applicants, you took those 3 applicants. Now we're able to actually rank the applicants and choose the best ones. So those are the 2 things that I would say are the main reasons behind the increase in the cost.
Were you inquiring on runs or costs?
Runs, not
I
costs.
thought so.
I misunderstood your question.
Yeah. And let me just follow up to John.
But our runs have been the best of the 3 municipalities.
Yeah, but I just want to comment on why we've added more firefighters. That's because Dexter built the station and Webster built the station, and the fire board made a commitment to the communities that if we invested and built fire stations, that they would be staffed. And to do that, you need to hire personnel, firefighters, to staff them. So just
Yeah, and the
further-
fact that we have 2 full-time firefighters on duty now here is a relatively new development.
Yes.
That wasn't the case.
That allows for better service to our community.
I have a question about the, oh, it's off. I have a question about the graph that's provided by the fire department and it talks about the incident count. And it gives a percentage, but the percentage is, so it'll say Webster Township, we had 47 incidents, and it's 24.87, which is basically just, we had 24.87 of the incidents. What I think I'd like to see, especially if we're looking at a new funding plan, which I know is later in the agenda, is we had 47 incidents and how many people live here? Because I would like a more comparative sort of idea about the actual use against the population, right? That tells me more like, maybe we had 24% of the incidents, but that doesn't tell me what percentage of is applicable to our population. Knowing that we have more maybe residents than Dexter does. So I kind of want to see that instead of comparing it to the other incidents.
Yeah, that's a little, it's complex because you may have multiple runs to one residence.
Oh, you do, for sure. When looking at this, there are, yeah.
So
But it still
it's
gives
not-
me an idea, right? Something. It's not great, but still something to help me compare. Is our percentage way out of line compared to the number of people we have?
Well,
That's what
Dexter
I-
City has far less population and far more runs.
Yeah, that's what I want to see, but I don't see that when I look at that. I can't tell that when I look at this graph.
Thank you. All right, we will actually,
We have a consent agenda.
well, wait, I actually have a request to call out the special event application for the Dexter Winters Farmers Market, because we'd like to explain something to us like that.
I don't think
I don't
it's
think
on
not.
that.
It's not
Yeah,
yet.
don't worry about that.
Oh.
Talk as loud as you can.
Forget it, I'll just talk loudly.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Ann Young, and this is the 13th year that I just finished being market manager of Dexter Winter Farmers Market. We were at the Dexter Senior Center the first 9 years, and when Copeland was sold, we had to move, so we were invited to have our market at the Huron River Methodist Church. Now, what I'm here for tonight is to get your permission to have it there for another season. Now, some of you might wonder why we're not going back to the senior center, because obviously that's going to be ready this fall. I was told that a couple months ago, the Dexter Forum reserved 6 of the weeks at the senior center, and the other 6 weeks that we have our market, there are activities that are going on, so we're not going to be able to go back to the senior center, which we're not too unhappy about that because we have lots of parking. We have the parking lot, the drive, the sidewalks, everything shoveled every week. Lots of handicap parking. There's an overhang where people get to, pull up. So it's a very beautiful facility. I have a really quick letter to read. This is from Reverend Thomas Snyder, and it says, "Greetings, Webster Township. On behalf of Huron River Methodist Church, as pastor of Missions and Caring Cells, we're pleased to allow Dexter Winter Farmers Market to use our facilities as a ministry outreach and service to the community. They provide local and regional products to local community residents, and they especially reach out to the senior community. And we believe this provides a helpful service to the community. This is not a financial interest to us. We see this as a ministry opportunity. The winter market is limited on where they can offer their services, and we've been able to meet their needs. We appreciate your support in this effort. Sincerely, Reverend Thomas Snyder, pastor of Missions and Outreach here on River Methodist Church." Now, last season, which was November through April, twice a month, we had an average of 275 people that came through, and I had 42 vendors that participated. Not all 42 every single week. I think the most we can fit in there is about 25, but altogether through the whole season, 42 vendors. We have a $20 weekly vendor drawing. We have free coffee, tea, and hot chocolate. We have entertainment every week. We also collaborate with Chelsea Hospital, and they give us coupon books that for seniors in Washtenaw County in November and December. And with their coupon books, they can get free food, free produce, meat, dairy, eggs, honey, and olive oil in the months of November and December. Last season, we gave away $2,242 worth of free food to seniors, and we served 145 seniors with that food. So we would love to continue being at the Huron River Methodist Church. That's why I'm here, to find out if I can get your permission to be there this next season. Thank you.
Okay, so I would like, let's see if I can do this the right way.
Oh, did you have a question? Should I stand here and have questions?
Thank you for keeping on doing this, I appreciate it.
That's awesome.
No questions?
No question.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so I would like a motion to receive and file a consent agenda report as presented after pulling out the fire report and the special event application for the farmer.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Budget amendment.
So in your packet,
Yeah.
great, sorry. Let me find it. This would be a good opportunity for me to tell the clerk's office, I really loved having page numbers last month.
We're working on it, John.
office for putting that together. That was based on the following page in your packet, which was a spreadsheet that Clerk Provence and I worked on together. I would like to bring your attention to one omission. If I can find my notes.
Is that the recycle line?
Yeah, I believe it is. No, it isn't. We do need to amend the recycle line if it's not in that list. We pay for recycles quarterly. Unfortunately, the last quarter of last fiscal year was paid this first fiscal quarter. So we're going to have 5 payments, which will get adjusted at the end of the year with an adjusting journal entry by the accounting auditor. But nevertheless, we're going to end up being roughly $6,000 underwater if we don't fix that. I thought that was on the list.
We talked about it once.
Yeah, it's on the worksheet.
Solid waste management recycling.
Yeah, Department 528, line item 101-528-881. My suggestion was that we raise that to $31,500. It was $32,000 the year prior. This year it's only $26,000. But the other omission, which I just found, has to do with Parks and Rec. So last month, I believe, this board authorized a contract with Webster for $10,740. That was never budgeted for. And so line 101-751-803, which currently has a budget of $7,500, needs to be increased enough to cover that $10,740. So I might recommend that we increase that by $11,000. No, by 11. Because we authorized expending $10,740 that was not budgeted for at all. There was a budget for $7,500, but that number wasn't based on.
Right, no, that was just an estimate.
It was just a number. I don't have insight into what other expenditures the Parks and Rec might want to do. I mean, we can cut it to.
No, I think your idea is better in case we need
That's it.
further assistance.
That's an increase to $18,240 if we follow the same pattern as the other
Anyway,
amendments.
that's my input.
Can you repeat what you wanted to change the recycle fund to overall?
Is it not on that list?
I didn't see it. Yeah.
It's on this one.
there.
It's
Yeah,
not.
it's on the next page.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so it needs to be increased from 26,000 to 31,500. So $5,500.
And confirming the Parks and Rec was from 7,500 to 18,500.
Yeah.
So do we have to do these individually?
No?
I'd just like to comment as the representative from the clerk's office that the majority of these amendments are for our department, our elections department. We are going to have we had one election, the May school, the school district election, that we were not planning on, that is not budgeted when we set our budget. And we may very well have another election in November because the intermediate school district is, I'm sure you've read about it in the Sun Times, they're looking for a 1 millage increase to cover technical programs. And so if they go ahead with that, they've applied to the county, if they do go ahead with that, we will have to hold a November election. And that's part of the reason why the budget is so much larger than what we initially
For an
anticipated.
off year,
Yeah,
But
or
I
what
think,
should have been an off year.
yeah, it should have been.
but I think what, if I have this right, and maybe it's not true for Washtenaw, but it was true for, the previous school village, they paid for that. So we might budget money, but we get reimbursed for some of it.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's true, but,
But we get audited based on our expenditures.
correct, and how they match our budget.
Yeah, we still have to put it in the
Yeah.
budget, I just wanna say that, it's not our expense, so.
No,
Yeah.
it's a wash, but
Yeah.
it shows up as an increase in the
Yeah.
election expenditures.
Yeah.
Yeah, the WISD would get to pay $1.2 million to pay for the election.
And some portion of that would come to us. Preferably with them. So on this budget amendment sheet, if we're moving to accept this, do we need to add the two things that are missing? So I move that we add, the two things, before I say that, the two things that I think are missing are the recycle fund to increase to 31.5, and the Parks and Rec line to increase to 18,240. Those are the two missing things. Okay, so, go ahead.
I think there's a discrepancy. I said 18.5, based on your comment that was 7,500.
Right, an additional.
And
75, it doesn't have to be exact, so rounding is acceptable.
Okay, I was basing on the number you said, which is 7,500.
Yeah, let me find the number again.
I think,
So I just want to make sure
I think 7,500 is what was currently in the Parks and
75
Rec
is,
budget.
7,500 is the current budget. It does not include the 10,740 that this board authorized to be spent on something that was never spent. So you added those two numbers together, correct?
yes,
Well,
that's.
75 and 11,000.
Yeah.
Which is 18.5, you're right, I don't know where the 240 came from, but I agree with you. So, okay, so increase Parks and Rec budget to 18.5. So with those two additions, I move that we amend the budget per this list.
I'll second that.
Okay, further discussion? Okay, we'll start with Dan this time, please.
Aye.
Shelley?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, so. Okay. Okay, Parks and Recreation Committee appointments. So we do have three openings, one of which I personally, so John Westman, who having, wants to be involved, and he can do it now. And so I would like John to be one of the three people. Shree has, you can tell us about the other two.
I wanted to just point out that Margaret Mosey and Dina Marie Sinti are here tonight. I invited them to come and introduce themselves and why they wanted to volunteer.
Okay.
But since I have the pretend mic, I also wanted to take this opportunity to let everybody just remind that we just started the process for the Parks and Rec Master Plan. There's a survey that's online. There's a QR code that's available on our website, posted everywhere. Please do take time to fill it. It will not take, it will take less than 7 minutes. And please spread the word. there might be an open house. We're still trying to figure out the date, but keep checking our website and Facebook for updates.
So would you like to come up and tell us a little about yourself? Or, I mean, no, I don't want to put you on the spot if you don't want to, though. So.
I'm going to go first.
Sure. Is this on?
No, it's not on. Yeah, just talk to us.
After a 25-year career as a professor, I'm loud enough. My name is Dina Zemke, or Dina Marie Zemke. I just moved here permanently, but I'm not a newcomer to Webster Township. My parents bought their home in Loch Alpine on Holly Way back in 1995, so I've really been here kind of for about 30 years. I now own the house and recently moved here full-time. As previously mentioned, I was a college professor for many years. Part of my job was doing research, and that's called scrambling for money to fund your research. So I have some experience with applying for grants, successful experience applying for and administering grants. So I know that in the description of what is needed as part of this committee is some help perhaps with grant writing. I think that might be a good fit for me. My background is in business. I taught property management and facilities management, hospitality, operations and management for many years. I also had a career before that in facilities management. I worked for Otis Elevators, selling elevators. So I kind of know how properties operate and what their needs are. So I hope I'm a good fit for it. If not, then I won't. Any questions for me?
Did you live here in your parents' house before?
No, I didn't. My sister did, but I did not. So I've had the house for about 2 years now after my mother passed. And I've retired and moved up here full-time. But I've been managing the house and finances for about the last 10 years, even though I was in absentia. Okay, thank you very much. Nice to meet all of you. Thank you for your service.
Public speaking in a while. My name is Margaret Mosey, and just for full transparency, my husband, Joe Peterson, actually suggested, he filled out the application for me and everything, so I don't know what he put on it, but I live down the street. I'm a social worker, I work for Washington County for community mental health, so I'm a service coordinator there, working with the aging population. I have a 9-year-old who we frequent parks all over the place, which is, I think, why I thought that I'd be interested too, because I hike and visit all of the different parks in the area. I've volunteered for years at Webster Nature Center with the raptors, Toledo Zoo. I was a docent for a couple of years for my social work career, working with animals. I also did do grant writing and operated and managed a grant-funded program for homeless veterans. That was back in 2015. But I've been at my current job for 7 years, and I love it. But I'm really looking for ways to connect to the community. I'm from Ann Arbor and moved out here in 2022. And it's very different. I love it out here, but like I just met one of my neighbors for the first time last week when I was rescuing a bird. So I just, I walk by my street a lot, but I haven't gotten the opportunity to really connect with the community as much as I'd like to. And it's just kind of, it's one of the reasons why I think Joe, also signed himself up for, I think he likes the spotlight more than me though, but.
It is a low key.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
But yeah, that's me.
Joe Peterson is our ZBA secretary.
Yes.
Thank you.
I wasn't sure if that would be
And then the fourth person is Elena, who graciously volunteered, I think basically before John came back and asked if he could be on it again. So at this point, I guess I would I'd like to have John Weston, Margaret Mosey, and Dina Zemke appointed to the road, or sorry, the Parks Committee.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to know who are the sitting board members or committee members that are staying?
Joan Westman is
Resigned.
leaving, that vacated a spot, and then.
No, I want to know who is staying.
Brian is our chair.
Brian Barrick,
Brian Berg is our chair, Jeff Gaither, Jeff Black.
so the two Jeffs.
Two Jeffs, and blanking out.
Tricia,
Yes.
so we're looking to have 7.
Yes, because sometimes they've been having trouble having a quorum with only 5.
Okay,
Because of people's schedule.
okay. Thank you.
All right, do a motion, any other discussion? So, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Thank you for volunteering. It should be fun. Okay. Okay, so the first, so we're on item F, the 9861 Foley Road.
C.
Oh, sorry, wait.
We are the resolution.
Yeah, the other resolution.
C is the.
Oh, because I'm looking at the wrong thing, I'm sorry. See, okay, Wheeler resolution, okay, 3.
Turn your mic on and then try to get at least your mic going.
Okay, can you hear me now? Okay. So at the last meeting, the board talked a little bit about Wheeler Drive, which comes off of Webster Church Road. There were some questions asked, clarifications are still being looked into. That one is not ready to come back. In the meantime, the applicant decided to take the option to the resolution so that he can move forward with his zoning compliance permit applications and the building permit applications. So at this time, the request that's in front of you is just simply approving the request to approve the resolution so that Mr. Wheeler can get the zoning compliance permit reviewed conditionally and then the building permit reviewed by the Washington County, but permits are not being issued to start construction. This is just to get a head start on review times. The draft was shared with you at one of previous meetings that was put together by our attorney. This one was simply revised to include his name and address.
I move that we accept resolution number 2520.
Yes. Just saw some white space and I got panicked, but no, you're good, please.
Second.
Discussion. Do a roll call. Jeff?
Aye.
No.
Abstain.
Aye.
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 Thank you. Now where it's going. Okay. So, tree.
Mike, if I may, I think the applicant Rob Mitchell is here
Yeah.
because I put my my findings in a memo. I wanted to give him the opportunity first to speak, and then I can fill in the blanks and add on to it, if that's okay.
Sure. Thank you. My name is Rob Mitchell. First, thank you for having us on the agenda and for consideration. I wanted to start off by saying I'm not asking for something that the neighbors have already had. People have been allowed to build on their Scully Road and the Shared Drive. Number 3 of the 3, I also want to point out that 3 years ago, the township did issue a zoning compliance permit to allow 9841 Scully to build on the same shared drive, accessing the same private Scully Road, with the same legal status and physical status as exists now. And what changed in the last few years is we have a new zoning administrator who is looking at the more letter of law and applying that ordinance to any new applications. So my understanding, from memos that she's had in the conversations, that there's 2 main issues that I'm concerned about. One is proximity to a public road, and the other one was demonstrated safety. I'm not going to reiterate my memo I put in there, but just high level. In regards to access or proximity to a public road, the shared drive and the parcels were all close to a public road. The shared drive actually connected to a public road prior to 2019 when the Washington County Road Commission abandoned Scully Road and it became private. So the fact is now, when there's a public road, it is over 3/4 of a mile away, there is absolutely nothing I can do concerning that short of the township wanting to have the county make it a public road here. The second one, with regards to safety, this road actually, the shared drive actually comes out the terminus of Scully Road. And so if you drive down Scully Road, the private road just blends right into the shared drive. It's equivalent access, equivalent width. Matter of fact, the shared drive has a grassy shoulder, whereas most of the private road has a tree line. And as I pointed out, you have had emergency vehicle runs this year up into that area, and they've been able to access. I want to make one comment. I know it's in the packet that the zoning administrator had asked the fire department to weigh in, and actually in a conversation I had with the zoning administrator 3 weeks ago, from my experience on municipal governments and township boards, or township governments, generally if you ask the fire department what type of access they want, they usually want something wider, straighter, faster, easier. And so I wasn't surprised to see that they came in and said that they wanted either a radius, a turnaround radius, or a hammerhead there. For me personally, that's a non-starter because, as I mentioned, this is actually, in essence, an extension of Scully Road. And so to put the onus on one person to provide a turnaround for, in essence, the entire road does not seem appropriate or kind of in line with just trying to build on one parcel. And I'd also like to point out that for decades, Scully Road was a public 3/4 mile long dead-end road with no turnaround. And 6 years ago, the township board approved Scully Road as a 3/4 mile dead-end road with no turnaround. So to make one applicant provide a turnaround at the end of the shared drive that's attached to the private roads, which in essence serve the entire combined mile of private road and shared drive, I don't think is reasonable. But with that said, I do appreciate your consideration for the matter. I do look forward to hearing the conversation that you do have tonight. Regardless of what decision you make, I do have to excuse myself after this agenda item to get back to a family event that I broke free from tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. This is a unique situation. How is this different than a variance? Because this one serves a maximum of 3 lots. 2 are already built. Mitzel's is the 3rd lot. The ordinance, as we've been talking about, is unclear about certain things, doesn't provide clear guidance as how to address a certain item, and this is one of those. The ordinance allows administrative exceptions that can be granted if a driveway meets 3 standards. 4, A, B, C, and D, which are on page 2 of 3 of my memo. In this particular situation, I'm not able to make a determination based on the information I have. So when I checked with the attorney, provided taking into consideration the ambiguity of the language and the situation, he suggested that I can defer it to the board because it's a general code interpretation of the language or superseding zoning administrator's decision, the board has right to do that. So based on that, we mutually determined that this is an acceptable path for Mitchell's request. And here we are. So what we're asking the board is to see if this particular shared way can be accepted from the private road standards. If it is accepted, then the construction of the house can be permitted based on the existing zoning ordinance. And because it's accepted, it doesn't have to meet the abut requirement in the private road ordinance. Now going back to the 4 standards, the first, it's page 2 of 3. I have listed all 4 standards and my comments / findings underneath it. The first one is said lot share a 66-foot wide right-of-way or a smaller right-of-way that complies with the required standards. So this one has 2 of 3 lots, have acreage to split further. There are no restrictions in place. If the standard is determined to be met, one of the conditions of approval should be that if a 4th split ever happens, they would have to comply with the standards. Item B, the right-of-way provides a safe means of access for ingress and egress for emergency fire and police vehicles. Like Mitchell pointed out, typically most communities have either a set of standards that they've adopted, saying, for example, they say shared driveway, no more than 800 feet, 15 feet wide, 16 feet wide, or they've adopted a fire code. In our situation, we don't have neither one of them to guide what is a safe and adequate access. So that comes back to the board again to either go with fire recommendation or come up with a standard that board can supersede. Item 3 is lots and parcels of related located no greater than 2,640 feet from the center line of said public street. This is the one which is tricky and very, very unique to this one particular shared driveway because Scully was private when this, and then, Scully was public and converted to private, which makes it really impossible for this to meet the standard. And D, the right-of-way is recorded in the office of the Register of Deeds. So like I noted, there's a 66 feet easement for the public part of Scully and 40 feet easement for the shared driveway, which is the last bit of Scully Road. So with these 4 standards and the findings that are in front of you, and based on other findings in the memo, the applicant's request, I'm requesting the board to make one of the 3 decisions. You can grant the exception, or if you need more information, you can postpone the consideration, or the last action is not to grant an exception. At the last meeting, one of the board members asked, what are the standards of review in such situation? What are we making the decision based on? And again, this is a unique situation. The ordinance does not provide any standard. So we have to, and then since we are in the process of amending the ordinance, we can definitely address that in the draft. But at this time, what I provided for you is emphasizing certain excerpts from the intent of the private road ordinance to guide with your decision. With that, I'll stand by for any questions.
I have a question. If I look at the picture provided, I see that the easement runs through these 3, these parcels, right?
Right.
But it looks like the other 2 houses currently are not using that shared drive. Is that correct? Looks like they have driveways.
So the yellow part, the yellow one that runs from end of Scully Public to all the way to the end of Township, that's the shared driveway.
Oh.
And because Rob Mitchell's lot is landlocked, he has an easement just to serve his property, which is the red line.
Okay.
And then the people on the other side, because you can't see it from this, they have their own shared driveway. free on that.
Right, that's a very tricky situation. Hopefully we will have to address that when we address the amendment, but they are in a different situation than Rob. At least Rob has some easements in place,
Yeah.
things in place, they don't.
What?
Oh, but that's not a part of, they're not requesting anything right
Right.
now. What Mike's suggesting is on the right side of the shared driveway, there are a couple of vacant lots that are landlocked, but they're not.
Oh, no, I was just saying, because you can see the little house.
Yeah,
So that's
the behind.
basically their, they come to the, I guess, the new now shared driveway in a different spot.
Right.
But they're not in this part.
And maybe this is a silly question, but here's Scully, and now here's a shared driveway. What designates it as now just not part of private road Scully?
It depends.
So it's, you can kind of, I mean, I can't tell that, but there's definitely, you can see it's done, and this is obviously different. Is that what you're saying?
There's a colored drawing in.
I see it. I just don't understand, now that it's a private road, I understand when it's a public road, right? That the commissioner is, the road commission's gonna decide where the road ends, but if it's a private road and it's still called Scully on the other side.
Oh, I can answer that question. There's no record, I mean, something in writing anywhere, but what I've heard consistently and read through discussions or, public comments is that there was some complicated issue with providing through access to a subdivision that's coming in.
That is true, yeah.
Right, so there was one, I don't think that's true, but there was one belief at the time that if Scully was private all the way to the end of township, they would have to grant access to those people to come through Scully. So there was a conscious decision made at that point to just keep that segment as shared driveway so that it can be more restrictive than a private road.
So the legal description for Scully Road, private road, ends
Right,
there, and then there's another, assume another legal description.
yes, for the shared drive.
Which,
Have
yeah.
you seen that, Sri?
The legal description for shared drive?
Correct.
The access easement, it's not in the packet, but I've seen that. The 66 feet easement, if you look at the applicant's sketch, you can see the easement boundaries on it. The 33 feet on either side, and then his was 40 feet easement, which is to serve his property.
So that document has not been submitted?
It's not been submitted, but I remember looking at it at the county assessing records from my own research. I think what happened was there's also a resolution in the packet when Scully was turned public to private. What happened was at that point they've accepted Scully in its as-is condition with no improvements, no upgrades, and then converted that into a private road. At that point, it was kind of like the resolution was kind of like granting a variance for Scully Road to exist as is. Even though it doesn't meet the 18 feet wide road, it was just accepted as a private road. At that point, there were no protections or, not protections, but there were no mention of the shared driveway. So now that's why we are here. But I can ask Rob, do you have a copy of the access easement, the 66 feet access easement?
I don't have it with me, but it's recorded, it's been back in the 1980s.
Okay.
Okay, and then,
I would point out at that resolution that you referenced, Mr. Kleinschmidt and Mr. Scharf were both there. We know what happened.
Okay, then I would be happy, I mean, if you can.
So the subdivision in Hamburg Township in Livingston County is called Mystic Ridge.
Right.
And Mystic Ridge had a series of developers that had a variety of financial issues. But long story short, Hamburg Township allowed the developers to build a certain number of houses the despite the fact that their ordinance required 2 entries into the subdivision, they were allowed to build up to a certain amount of numbers with only 1 entry. And as they got close to the limit on the number of houses they could build, the builder was pressured, the developer was pressured to create a second entry. And his idea was to create that entry by opening the gate from Mystic Ridge and having that traffic entry through Scully. And this body was petitioned by the residents to do whatever we could to stop that from happening. They didn't want all the traffic from Hamburg Township that were going down to North Territorial to come down their scenic beauty road. And the township board at the time was sympathetic to that, and members of our board attended Hamburg Township board meetings. We corresponded with them, and we did everything we could to satisfy the requests of the residents at that time. And one of those things that we did was we asked the residents asked the road commission to abandon that road. The road commission came to this board and said, we've been asked to abandon that road. If you say that's okay with you, we'll do it. We took a vote to abandon that road in this meeting, in this room, and the next morning, the road commission abandoned the road. It's the fastest thing I've ever seen the road commission do in the history of the road commission. So then we were led to pass this resolution, which basically said, you know what, this thing that used to be a public road that does in no way meet our private road standards, we're going to allow it to be a private road. It wasn't any worse than it was when it was a public road maintained by the road commission. And in fact, we were petitioned to create a special assessment district. That special assessment district still exists today, and that road is better now than it ever was, ever, as a public road.
Thank you. I just didn't remember the Mr. Ridge name.
I would like to make one other comment. There's some information in Mr. Root's report, which I find to be grossly misleading due to missing information. So it was always understood that the emergency services could open the gate, which is at the county line. And right north of that gate are paved roads with a roundabout, and there's a giant water tank right there within just some hundreds of feet of the parcel that Mr. Mitchell wants to build his house. And so the notion that they need a turnaround is ridiculous. They can open that gate, they have all the tools they need to open that gate, they can go up and have a parade around the roundabout, and they can get water out of a tank that's right there. So I'm very disappointed in the report from the fire department.
Thanks for that. I didn't know that. I don't think anyone knew that.
I move that we grant the waiver to allow approval of zoning compliance permit.
Exception.
I'll second.
Oh, exception.
Exception, thank you.
Thanks, Drew. I will still second.
I would like to ask the applicant a question. When you drive to your newly constructed home, and it's time for you to leave and go somewhere else, how are you going to turn around? So you come home from work,
Right.
you're at your new house, now it's time to go to work the next morning. How are you going to turn your vehicle around?
Be within my individual driveway that goes to the house.
So is it going to be a T? Is it going to be a circle?
I'm not quite following your question, because basically, the shared drive goes up all the way to 9881.
I'm talking about your parcel.
Right,
only
my
your
parcel, I have a perpendicular single driveway coming off that shared drive at that
I
point.
think what John's trying to get to is, when you get to your house and you have to go out in the next morning.
Right.
You gotta turn around somewhere.
Right, so I mean, I'd have like a parking area right by the house that I could turn around and come out.
Like at my house, I have a circle. I made it because I knew that People were gonna have to come in and,
Okay, so you're talking about up by the house. I
Yes.
have it more like a T. Okay, I haven't really thought through the particular design yet, but
would you be opposed to having something that a truck could turn around on? A fire truck?
so my house would be like about 1,000 feet from the shared drive. I don't think they'd drive all the way down to the house and turn around.
They would if they're bringing truckloads of water to put your house up.
Okay, yeah. So what would that entail?
A hammerhead or a roundabout? Gravel?
But I guess my question then is, why would any other single-family house not have to do something?
I didn't have to do it, I did it because I wanted trucks to be able to turn around in my house. I've had gravel trains turn around in front of my house.
All right.
I don't like it when trucks come to my property and say they won't come up to my house because they don't think they can turn around without getting stuck in the mud. I'm just asking you what your thoughts are about being able to turn around.
My thoughts are that I'd have to figure that out by the house, but I wouldn't want it to be dictated on how to do that. Okay? I don't know if it makes sense to have a little T at it, or if I make a small circle. But even for having guests and stuff right by the house, I want to be able to turn.
Well, you have the luxury of space, and aggregate is not that expensive. You could make a place to turn around any size vehicle, in my opinion.
Okay?
Thank you.
But as far as, like, if someone went up to shared drive and decided to not pull in my driveway, they could pull in my driveway back out and basically do my turn.
That's true too. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you,
All
Rob.
right, thanks. Sorry.
I have a question before you sit. It's along those lines. Where's garbage picked up down there?
So the two existing houses, they have the garbage pickup right at their little individual driveways on their shared driveway.
Okay, so they come down the shared drive.
Yeah, and I used to live at
Pick up
9881 for almost 20 years, and the garbage trucks always came up. And the same as the mail truck comes up too.
And do you guys, on that section of the private road, do you have an agreement with the other people there to maintain it?
So that the easement, the people that use that shared drive,
Yeah.
yes, it's a mutual maintenance. And on top of it, we pay into the S&D
Yeah.
that maintains the first 3/4 mile of the private.
Sure. I've looked at it. I mean, it's pretty good down there. I couldn't see if there was a driveway where you were.
There isn't, yeah, it's just a two-track.
It was a little confusing looking at that, but, yeah, going up there, and there is you have some brush encroaching into the road, more when you get where you're gonna put your driveway.
It has mowed some of it and some of it.
Yeah, that looks like yearly kind of growth, so, okay. Thank you.
Jeff, a small point of clarification. I don't think they have an official maintenance agreement in place, but they have an understanding of maintaining.
Yeah, in the easement, it says the maintenance are being shared by those users. But we don't have any, there's nothing in addition to that.
Right, it's some generic language on
Right.
the easement kind of thing that gives you the right for maintenance.
Right.
Yeah.
Public comments. I did make a site visit.
Thank you.
Did make a site visit and, drove up there. It is narrow, and to your point, Jeff, there's vegetation encroaching over the gravel. So I guess I would certainly ask that for safety purposes, numerous safety purposes, maybe that be trimmed back some. But given you have a maintenance understanding, it seemed to me, because it was difficult to turn a car around at the north end, that you talk with your two neighbors and see whether you all would say, hey, it'd be wise to put a turnaround here at the entrance to your new driveway in the 40-foot easement area, right at the east end of that. That would help fire turnaround. I don't think the road, the driveway is improved up to the county line. So for having fire go through there.
It's improved. The driveway to the last house is how many feet from the gate?
It's about maybe 100 or 200, but I think the developer pulled that gate out, people that moved into my house, I think, ended up putting up like a little fence thing there because the developer pulled the gate. Yeah.
So it doesn't appear it's known to the fire department that, I mean, it's not like there's a knock talk there, that they can get a key and open up the gate. It's a fence now, maybe.
It was a simple gate before.
It was before.
May or may not be that way, so I guess I would think it'd be wise to put a hammerhead there, but wouldn't cost that much more in terms of your driveway construction, but it would help from a safety standpoint significantly.
I think given the length of the driveway on his easement and his parcel, I'm not sure how helpful that would be. How many feet is it from the north-south driveway, shared driveway, to your home site?
So, from the shared driveway west of the home site would be about 1,200 feet.
Yeah, that's a long way to run homes.
Mr. Munsell's talking about putting a hammerhead where my individual driveway meets the shared driveway. I think you're talking
Correct.
about.
Yeah, which
And
would
that's
help.
where-
Right now, there's two trucks can't even pass. Really, I mean, there's places along Scully Road where they could, but not up at the north end.
Well, actually, on private Scully Road, you have trees right up to the driving surface, whereas on the driveway, you have open grass on each side.
There are a few areas on road section where two cars can pass, but many sections where it's not. So I'm just trying to think, okay, well, then you could have a fire engine pull forward, as one passes through, back up and go in. It's not right at the house, but you could do something there if you wanted to. But that would help serve the 3 residents at the north end.
Your private share of your driveway serving just your home is like a quarter of a mile, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess my point was that what you're talking about would in essence not just be 3 homes, maybe for the entire private road, because the private road just goes right up into it. And so that's where I was saying that why the burden for me to provide a hammerhead for in essence for the entire private road?
That's true. Sure. Well, you have signage up which says it's a shared private driveway, so I assume that, may help stop some people, but maybe then you petition the SAD district to help share the cost of that, or advocate that they put one further south to help everybody else.
Can I?
Wait, I think that's
sorry.
just a question. Thank you. Here you go. So my only question, I know it's kind of a weird one, especially nowadays now, but so, let's say they had gotten better information and knew that they could still close off the north end. And they had taken, instead of having the private road from Scully, they would have to go all the way to the end. I'm assuming, would have accepted that in that resolution in 2019 because the rest of the road was also not up to standards.
No,
So
one of the most compelling arguments that blocked the developer was the fact that it was not road. It was private land, which was a driveway.
Oh, yeah, but see, that's a legal misconception, because even though it would be a private road, if they decided to all close it off, it's private. So they could have done the same thing.
The driveway wasn't a road. It never was a road.
Oh, no, but I mean, Scully went all the way up to the township line.
No, it never did.
Oh, I thought that's what this
No.
yellow thing was.
It always ended a quarter mile short.
Okay, thank you. So that's, yeah, that's.
It was private property driveway for the last quarter mile.
Okay.
It was never road.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know. Never mind my question. Okay. Okay. Sorry, you wanted to say something.
Just a couple of things, because one, I just wanted to provide just a reminder that the Scully SAD will be soon be ready for renewal at the end of 2025. It needs to be renewed again.
It needs to be renewed in 2026.
End of 2026?
we are collecting in 2025. It needs to be renewed in 2026 for collection in December of 2026.
Oh, okay. I got it a year ahead of time. Okay. And then one of the I would recommend amending the motion to include why, based on what the exception is being granted, just for the keeping the record straight as why. Is it because, for example, provided that, I guess now that's a fence, not a gate that they can go there, so that, you know, that there's a acceptable place for turnaround? Or is it because you're finding that Scully is well maintained, that ensures safe access? Something. Or if you feel like there might be some conditions that need to be put in to ensure safe access, I would recommend to add those to the motion, because whatever happens in discussion, unless it makes to the motion, it cannot be a condition. Like what Sharf said, if we need a wider turnaround on the subject property, or if there's anything that needs to be, if trees need to be trimmed to make sure vertical clearance is there, please make sure that's part of the motion. If you see it is appropriate or fit.
So we have a motion on the table and a second on the motion. Do I need to be the one who amends the motion? Okay. So I will amend the motion. One of the reasons why I'd like to waive this, hold on, I'm looking through my notes that I made, is because the unusual situation where this piece of property no longer has access to a public road reasonably. So there's no way for them to follow. It's an unusual situation because of the change in Scully Road. So that's one of the reasons for the exception. Are there conditions that I need to add to this motion that anyone wants to see happen?
I'm prepared to support it without conditions.
I would like to see a commitment to clear vegetation over the gravel. I'd also like to see a hammerhead at the entrance to the driveway, intersecting with the shared driveway, to ensure safety on both of those elements and greater maneuverability for fire emergency vehicles.
I would like clarification. Are you talking about having a hammerhead on the private road or on the driveway?
I would envision partially on the 40-foot easement westerly, and partially on the 66-foot shared driveway easement to the north.
So basically the T between the yellow and the red, right?
It's not a T, it would be a,
Well, I mean,
one of the sides would be Mr. Nissel's
Okay,
driveway.
It'd be more like
yeah,
a
so the
cross.
yellow and the, just the intersection, I'm sorry, the intersection between the yellow and the red and.
Oh, I didn't know, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were
Oh,
talking.
yeah, sorry, I said a T, because I'm looking at it as a T or whatever, looking at the page, so. Just that, like, right.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So you're wanting a person to put a turnaround on their private driveway. It's not a road, it's a driveway.
Right, so a part of the hammerhead, which is not a hammerhead in this case, would be on his driveway. So a little bit of, whatever the dimension is, and then the other part would be on the shared driveway to the north, which, is on both parcel A and, potentially on, well, I don't know if the current shared drive is entirely on parcel A and B, or if it seeps into the parcel to the east side. It's hard to tell.
So you have two existing homes that have been there for a while. And we're gonna require an applicant requiring you to put a T on your private driveway at your house. I just don't think that's right. He's a informed applicant, and we've had a discussion about how he's gonna turn around at his house. He's not responsibility for the existing homes.
Well, I think we have an obligation to ensure that the community is safe and that there's access and there's ability to come and go with fire emergency vehicles. And he's got an agreement to share the cost with his neighbors. So, you know, it isn't solely burdening him, it's helping his neighbors as well. They're going to benefit from that as well. And I think it's a very nominal, yet, you know, there's a commitment there, but to enhance the safety at the north end of his shared driveway.
I have one question. I totally hear your point, but, so, when the driveway goes to Rob's house, we have the one that goes straight north to the 9881, like just their driveway. Like, what is it? So if the cars can't pass on Scully going south, because that's too narrow, it's almost like just by putting in that extra driveway going west, you would be creating a hammerhead? I mean,
Well, that is true. So it would be a little wider than what his normal driveway might be. It might be a little bit
bigger,
longer, and then you would do the same on the north end.
Yeah, I'm curious, Dan, would you just be okay with a very broad or wide approach? So somebody could swing in and then back out and have the fan on the driveway be a little bit broader, so it's not tight when you're turning in?
That could help.
Because that would allow, you know, positioning, turning in and then backing out and utilizing that easily. And it would just broaden the driveway approach more and allow basically the northern part of that private road to be used as that hammerhead. But they could swing in that driveway easier and back out easier. You understand what I'm saying?
I think so. I'm not sure, you know, from a design standpoint, how that all shakes out.
I think it would serve the same purpose, and I think it would be cheaper for the applicant to do. And
It's still a quarter of a mile from the house.
I get that.
The house is gonna burn.
We've all agreed that the fire truck can get down there, they just can't get out, so they'll be fine.
No, if the applicant was concerned, he can build a roundabout right at his house, and you can have a truck parade if you want. But that's an individual choice. The other two houses already exist.
Well, and just to your point, building out his driveway does create somewhat of a way for a fire truck to now actually back out on the Scully part, right?
Right.
Not necessarily his house, but they can get out now.
From an operations standpoint, what you're talking about is trucks show up and they literally run a quarter mile of hose from that turnaround up to the house. And then the trucks with fresh water come and they hook up and they pump their water out and they leave. His house is gonna be gone by the time the second truck gets there. Operationally, the turnaround isn't gonna help if it's a quarter of a mile from his house.
No, I don't think there should be I don't agree with that the turnaround should be, I don't think after listening that there needs to be a turnaround here at the T, because I think ultimately you should be able to pull in and pull out, just like anywhere else. It's a road, it's a T, it's essentially a hammerhead. So that I don't think, and I do agree that it's going to be difficult maybe for a fire or emergency vehicle to get down his driveway, his portion of the personal driveway or through the easement, but I don't feel like, part of the reason why we're struggling with the road ordinance so much is because we're, that is kind of narrow. That is no way. There's no way a fire truck can turn around. Actually, they'd have to cut down a lot of trees. It's very, it's foliage. Okay, I see your point, Dan. But what I think is the struggle for me in this is that we continue to struggle with the road ordinance in general because we don't want to force people who just buy property to have to accrue the cost of the entire road. And here we are doing it again.
On an existing road.
On an existing road where this person had literally no control over what happened. The road was made private and now they have no access. There's nothing else they can do. And so for that reason, yes, do I want public safety? I do. Do I think there are occasions where we have to just educate people about what public safety is and maybe the condition is you have to knock down some of these trees along the road. I'm hesitant to force them to put something on their property for a fire truck to turn around because of these reasons in this specific situation.
Yeah, I think the differential between adding driveway, and adding, 6 more feet of gravel by, 40 feet or whatever the design requirement is nominal compared to what he's going to build when it's done. And it really would enhance the safety, the access, the ability to get in and out and service his home and the other 2 that are right there. They all win. So it's a fairly nominal variance request, along with, trimming back some vegetation. So, I think they're normal. It's a reasonable exception that could be asked of the applicant.
I need one question. So when you do your driveway or over your access easement, is there a standard for how wide that will be?
The draft.
Like, so, no, I mean, okay, so, go back to the red line.
The red line, no, we don't regulate single access driveways. This,
Well, he's not a single access anymore, he's part of a shared.
the red one is single access. It is only serving his house.
But it doesn't go on approved private road,
Yeah,
so it's not.
but,
That's why he's the third house on a shared driveway, right?
right.
Okay, so how wide would it be if we actually looked at it that way?
That is the question that is going to be in front of the board on August 12th.
Okay.
How wide do you guys want it to be? But I don't want to point out.
No, I'm sorry, I just wanted to know if there was any, or sorry, you know what I mean, like, because maybe Dan's good point is, would be, if I figured out how wide that we would have to,
Right.
would have to be, maybe that would just take care of the problem. At
Right.
a certain minimum. But,
Mr. Mitchell, have you talked to the county at all yet about how wide your driveway has to be? Because we just recently built a house, and the county told us our drive had to be 10 feet wide, period, end of the story. It's about 300 feet long. Have you talked to them at all about this, what they're going to require of you?
They don't have any jurisdiction on this one.
They don't.
No, because it's not exiting into a county road.
Into it, okay.
So there's no have jurisdiction. I think one of the members asked a question about the easement. I think the 33 feet is on their property, 33 feet is on the other opposite side property. The lot line is in the middle of the easement, the 66 feet easement.
Okay, one more question, which is the issue at hand always. To Dan's point, one of the things that has gotten us in trouble with the previous ordinance that we need to fix is that we did not implement public safety things when we allowed people to build houses on roads that had 3 or less people on it. And then the crisis happened, or the issue happened, when the lots were split. There are 2 lots that can still be split, I don't know if that's ever gonna happen, but we're gonna do the same, we're gonna make the same mistake if we don't put something in there for public safety. In a condition, right? That's ultimately where we end up.
For today, or the
On
draft,
this
we
particular-
definitely have to do something about split.
Yeah, well, we're making the same mistake on this one that we've consistently made.
No, we're not.
Because,
No,
so if
because-
that's four, if one gets split, I understand, Shrieking totally correctly, if one gets split, that the fourth person would then have to come for a regular variance of private road standards.
Right
Then
now,
we just have the ordinance we have right now.
Yes, and the issue with that is the fourth person comes forward and then they're responsible for making the road up to par, which no one else has done before them because our ordinance never made that. And that's the issue at hand, and that's what we're doing here.
I disagree.
that split would be on a private driveway, so that would change the private driveway. That would change the homeowner's driveway, the one split.
It wouldn't, splits wouldn't be possible on this situation.
Right.
And Scully Road, because Scully Road is now technically an approved private road because of the resolution in 2019, whoever has to do anything would not have to do anything past that yellow line. Because that's the existing driveway.
That's the driveway.
Okay.
So that's
So
what
that's
the
a little easier
separates
than some of
it.
the other things we're gonna worry about, but it's, you're still right. You are right, the fourth person, the way it is right now, would turn that, we would have to do a private road.
So that's not relevant. You don't have to worry about, just, okay.
Historically, you could have split it, you just couldn't have built on it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Unfortunately, we had zoning administrators that gave zoning permits for the fourth,
Yeah.
fifth, sixth house. It wasn't the board.
Right, right.
There was not proper supervision or over the zoning administrator. And
Not her.
things were permitted that should not have been permitted.
Okay, I gotcha. Okay.
And that's over decades.
That's over a handful of different zoning administrators.
I mean, to be fair, our private road ordinance does not, we're doing the best we can with language that just didn't take into account all these extra labels.
What we're talking about now is a driveway.
Right, but I mean, it's the same. So, okay, so, all right, so, unless there's anything else, Shelley, so you still your motion?
I'm gonna,
Yeah, well, Shelley.
I am going to, can I withdraw my motion?
We can withdraw or amend it or anything you like.
I'm not sure what I want to do, that's why I'm trying. I want to withdraw it.
Okay, so you withdraw it, and
I'm gonna
I
withdraw.
can't second something that doesn't exist, so if anyone else wanted to make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the applicant's request. And the reason I think we should is because the applicant had nothing to do with the fact that the road commission abandoned the public road and the township authorized a non-conforming private road.
I'll second that.
Okay. Further discussion.
I don't think that the application has anything to do with the private road versus public. It's off of a shared driveway. So
No, it has to do with the distance to the public road.
Well, that's,
That's
we'll
more.
say that.
And that's the reason why I think it should be granted.
Big issue that we deal with a lot, and we're looking at too, is if an applicant comes in and does this, we can ask them to improve safety and do some of this other stuff. But the fact of the matter is, if they decide not to do anything, that road's not gonna change. It's not gonna be safer, there's not gonna be anything else done on it. And unfortunately, and we've been talking about this a little bit in the roads, which we're gonna talk about a little bit here for the moratorium. But the thing is, that we need to look at something to aid the residents, and I'm not saying with financial stuff, but guidance or talking about creating other SADs or possibly looking at some bonding that we can help them pay for it if they want to, those kind of things that we could aid them with and give them some direction to try to improve the stuff that we have. And forcing it on the residents is going to be, and that's what we keep running into with these lots that are, you know, it's a lot on an existing private road that shouldn't have been. I mean, the fact of the matter is that they don't meet the standards right now. And so we have to figure out how we can make them safer, how we can work to make them safer. And I don't like the idea of having one resident pay for it either. But I do agree with you, Dan, it is an opportunity to get that stuff done, should they do it. And the fact of the matter is sometimes they will, a lot of times they won't because of cost. So I don't know that we can force it on. That's all.
Can a condition, I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's an opportunity for landowners and the three of them to enhance the safety of their community.
I agree with you.
And their neighbors. It's a very easy thing to do.
Can we put, maybe we just put the condition on there that the homeowner considers how they can improve the safety of their road as they build their driveway out.
That's not much of a condition.
Yeah.
It's not a condition, well, it's
Consideration.
consideration.
I'm pretty sure that we've crossed into have some
Consider it.
thoughts.
Considering something.
I would remind this body that he used to be the planning commission chair and he was on the ZBA. He's very knowledgeable about how these things work and how they should work.
But that doesn't change that the conditions are similar to all the stuff
No.
that we keep facing.
No, I get that.
Right.
Well, I'll just add that in my driving up there, it's hard to turn around and there's room for one car. So I would think that if we were to add a condition to trim back some vegetation and build a slightly larger driveway to accommodate the fire engine turning around, is not that much of a hardship. And yet it provides a lot of benefit to the landowner and neighbors.
It would provide a lot of benefit to the two existing homes, but it's still a quarter of a mile from where he plans to build his house.
It would help him as well, John. You know that, the fire engine would pull in there, no one would go by, they'd come back, it gives them room to maneuver. Right now, there's no room, nothing. I can barely turn my car around.
Yeah, right now, the room to maneuver is driveways. That's what you have. I actually went by an RV coming out, small one, but it was an RV. And what they ended up doing was, we were able to pass because they kind of went into a driveway. That's why I was asking about having a wider driveway that would be like a pull-off, or that can have enough radius for somebody to turn. Yeah, it was difficult to turn around in my truck.
Yeah. This is entirely about safety.
Okay, so, any other discussion? Okay, Ms. Shelley, you start at your side. A motion, and a second.
Is it Shell's or John's motion?
Well, it's John's motion,
It's
but.
John's motion,
You
it
do
has
want-
to be to vote
There's-
first.
and a second.
Second.
So no, so, yeah, discussion and then.
And now I'm voting, right?
Vote.
I am gonna say nay, because I do think we have to for the safety.
No.
Tony?
Yay.
I'm gonna say no to this.
Yes,
Yes.
So that would be it fails. Okay, so I would like to move that we accept the variance with the condition, to be honest, I'm a lot more worried about the tree. So, I would like, so with the condition of clearing back the trees. So the brush, however it works, they'll
Yeah, there's
usually
no
use
tree
the
cover there,
actual
per se.
driveway there is, I guess. So that would be my knowledge.
I don't know if it's all, I guess.
To provide the minimum clearance.
Yes, right.
So the fire trucks would ultimately turn around at the T if it was cleared out enough to turn there, is that what you're saying?
It's really the, yeah, for me, it's the brush trees.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion, sorry? Okay.
With a slightly wider driveway?
Well, I wasn't gonna make him do that. So I wasn't on.
I would vote for a slightly wider.
Would you consider a friendly amendment to your motion?
If we give them a number. You know what I mean, right? Give them-
Well, and the location, I mean.
Well, I think the location should be at that T, because that's where he's already gonna build the driveway. So, and I do agree with Dan that it's a lot less costly than other options of doing things. So, that would be my, I mean, yes, if we find that we can do a number, I don't know if someone can give me a number.
Be good for site distance too.
Perhaps 30 feet by a 15-foot wide drive at the east end of his driveway?
Okay, so 15 feet wide, 30 feet long. Okay, that sounds good to me. I will, I guess amend my motion to add that. That's where the kind of line. So,
Second.
second, good, okay. Further discussion? Okay. Shelley?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
I,
Aye.
I,
Aye.
Okay. So you, pretty well, right? Okay.
May I ask one clarifying question real quick?
Uh-huh.
The brush you're talking about is that kind of that Russian olive that was at the top of the hill on the west side? Okay.
Yeah, when you're going up there, it's
Yeah, so
encroaching.
I know how it's.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
And thank you for your patience for being like the canary in the coal mine.
I appreciate it.
Okay. So now we're on E, the resolution adopting a private road application moratorium. Street.
I think it's pretty much what I said in my memo. I'm requesting the board consider the moratorium. What the moratorium would do is it would officially say that I cannot no longer accept any road permit requests that are related to vacant lots or non-compliant driveways. Part of the challenge is the reason why, since the beginning of the year, we were not able to make progress on private road draft amendment, because every time we make a meeting to discuss a draft, we have to pause and then consider the applications that are underway. And then because the language is not clear, even the applications weren't approved, or a decision hasn't been made on the applicants. It's just going back and forth, back and forth. And then in the meantime, rightfully, the applicants are losing their patience. I would too, not knowing where this is heading, how long this is going to take. And a big chunk of my time is going away trying to explain this to residents without confidence that, this is the path we have to find a resolution. So what you have in front of you is a moratorium on accepting road permit applications. There is a choice for you to pick between whether the moratorium should be for 180 days or 90 days. It will do two things. It will give us focused time to focus on the private road draft amendment without getting deviated, to address ongoing challenging applications. And then also will have a ticking time on, trying to get this done. We did have a very good progress with our focus team discussion with regards to the language. I think everybody on the team unanimously agreed on standards and clarity moving forward for new roads. And there is a path that we wanted to bring forward to the board to discuss to address the existing challenges at the next meeting. To provide you with all the information you need, I've also prepared an inventory of the roads, private roads that serve more than 3 lots. We have 43 of those, and I've created maps for each of those roads, and I've created a spreadsheet which has 5 rating criteria so that you have a sense of how many roads we have and what's the condition of those roads. And then I also identified on each of those roads how many lots are splittable and how many vacant lots are available. This will give you a sense of, in future, these will come to you again to, to get a variance request or to get a road permit request. So I'm hoping that information will help you figure out where to move forward. So that I can focus on providing that information to you, I'm hoping to not deal with any new applications.
Street?
How many applicants do you have right now that we haven't dealt with?
A very good question. I just want to write them down so that I don't forget. We have Dinser Lane. They haven't formally applied, but they've been patiently waiting to figure out what's going on. The reason why they haven't formally applied is because they have unwilling neighbors to help with any of that. And then we have Fox Lane, which was in front of you guys last month, but then there's just some challenges with the drawings and issues which they're trying to figure that out. And then we have Larry Wheeler's, which we thought was a shared drive, but then turns out the access and beneficiaries of the easements isn't clear. They're doing their research, so they have to come back to you. And then we have the applicant, not an applicant, but a person who is also waiting patiently because he recently bought a vacant lot on Pillar Road. So that's 4.
I'm sorry, what was that?
East Pillar or West Pillar? East Pillar. East Pillar. Those 4 have been constantly in touch with me. They call me frequently. And then I have one lot split on and off. They just check in once in a while.
But they actually haven't applied yet?
Pillar Road and Dinser hasn't applied. Fox Lane and Wheeler Drive have applied. The third one is still a maybe. Still a maybe. And then we have Valley View Road that came in front of board a while ago. They've already paid their fees. They already paid the fees for the variance. They already paid fees for the application, but they're just standing by. So we have 3 formally applications, 2 who have been attending most of the board meetings, and then 1 who's on the edge. And then I just got Rock Missile, which I bought to you guys.
So all those, if a moratorium goes into place, those still get processed?
I will provide an opportunity. Pillar and Dinser wouldn't be because they haven't formally applied.
Okay.
But Fox Lane, Wheeler, and Valley View, they have an application in, so they can still move forward. Oh, and then you may be getting Potts Drive back for reconsideration.
But what would you have to deal with if we pass a moratorium? We would have to deal with 3 applications.
Yes.
As they stand today.
Yes.
That would be it, and you would shut down everything else until some ordinance was drafted and passed.
Right, for 90 days or 180 days, whatever you guys decide. Yes.
And can, if, let's say we decided on 90 days and we can't reach a consensus by then, I forgot what we do, but at that point, could we just do an extension of the moratorium?
Yes, you can amend your moratorium resolution at that point.
So if someone brought forth a application proposal that was done similar to the one that was submitted last month or the month before, off of Mass Road?
Oh, that's a new split. They can still apply, because that's
So
a new road.
a new application
Yes,
can still,
Yes.
they're not subject to moratorium?
no. It is just if it has frontage and access from a non-compliant, existing non-compliant road. But if somebody is doing new lot splits and proposing a new road, coming off of a public road or an approved private road, they can still move forward.
It's not a variance or anything like that, but, and that's, I mean, our private road ordinance really, it works for new construction with
Yeah.
new roads. I mean, it works fine for that. It's this other stuff that we're running.
Right.
I think residents are gonna be frustrated either way.
They will
So,
be.
I mean, it's just a matter of we need to get this settled. And yeah, I don't want you chasing your tail, trying to get stuff done when it's not this.
Right, I want to clarify that I'm happy to sit whatever long it takes to explain to a resident what the challenges are, but then in this specific situation, it's really hard for them to understand. All I'm asking the board is to revise the language that meets the intent, how we want to address it. If we want to grandfather, then how we want to grandfather them, so that
Or how we want to address each specific situation.
Yes.
So I would move to adopt your resolution, adopting a private road application moratorium as outlined in our packet
for a period of,
for a period of 90 days.
I would say optimistic.
I've got an election probably to run in November.
All right, okay, second.
I second.
Okay, discussion, okay, so I'm
We've been thinking, I mean, we've been dealing with these, we've all been dealing with these. We all have our own ideas about what we should do. We need to, and obviously, we're talking about a special meeting. It may be more than one, and we gotta do what we gotta do. We gotta get it done.
all right, so from my perspective, I'm in favor of the moratorium, but not exactly the way it reads. So on page 1, the last sentence about the whereas, accept parcels, blah, 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 right? I honestly, I'm a little questioning about how much substantial public safety risk we actually have. So I would honestly rather have it just say standards present substantial public safety issues, period. But then the other one on page 2 is, this says accepting any road permit application. I would just put new in front of road. Those are my only two.
I think we've been back and forth. Let me make sure I got that.
So does that, so you're saying that you don't want to put a moratorium on the ones that we currently have, that we should
Well,
still
there's
work
those
on
three,
those?
because I think we should just say new. You know what I mean?
So we're gonna keep working on the three
Right.
that exist.
So we should accepting any new road permit application.
And I only really even add that because of the, like, the last
No, I think
sentence in
we talked
the
about it.
memo about, but yeah, the other one, I think we're, I mean, to be brutally honest, I think we're kind of still kind of divergent about how much risk is going on here. So I think it'll still work exactly the same if we just say substantial public safety issues and leave it. But
So just to summarize, you're saying on page 1, the last whereas, strike the word after risks.
Right, or just, and then.
Put a period after risk and then
just
strike
put issues instead of
Let's
risk.
put safety issues
Yeah.
and don't give any
risk,
examples.
okay. And then on the second page, put the word new in front of road permit applications.
Does that accomplish what we're trying to do? Is this related to people applying for a certificate of zoning compliance or applying for land division?
Right.
They're not applying, for something,
I
it's
think,
not a new road permit application.
I did talk about the same thing with Matt. The way he explained to it, like if somebody comes in for a log split or a zoning compliance permit, I would say I can't issue this one unless a road permit has been approved. So then they would have to apply for a road permit, which I wouldn't. So I think that's how he framed the language, that I wouldn't issue a compliance permit or a log split until a road permit has been issued, and a road permit cannot be issued because I cannot accept the permit application.
Okay.
Okay, that kind of makes sense.
Do I have to amend that?
Oh, yeah. if you-
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, I'd like to amend my motion to include the word new on page number 2, accepting any new road permit applications, and also to strike risks, including lack of access for firefighting, etc., and simply insert the word issues, substantial public safety issues.
Second.
Okay. Further discussion?
Okay.
Well, I can't not be hung up on this notion that we block splits. If I'm making estate plans and I want to split a parcel so that when I die, my kids can each inherit a certain number of acres, I shouldn't have to come to you with a driveway plan or a road plan. I just want to take this asset, carve it up, and give a piece to each of my kids after I die.
I would say, I understand that, but that's kind of how we got in this problem.
No, we got in this problem when we issued zoning permits to build a 4th house on a 3-house driveway.
Well, but we created all these basically parcels that, unless we give variances or change the ordinance, can't, or make them go through a lot of money, if they even can. But it's kind of all tied together, unfortunately, because that's like, when whoever allowed these splits so that we have all these existing parcels on easements, then like, that's without making sure that they could actually build on them when they wanted to. That's kind of how we got in this problem.
There's this pervasive idea that if a lot is split, that you have to build something on it, and that's just totally wrong. Maybe my kids want to put it in a PDR.
That may be true, but what if your kids want to sell it?
Then they can sell it.
And then the buyer wants to build on it. I mean, this is
At some
exactly
point-
what's been happening.
No,
Gentlemen, we're talking about 90 days to give us time
Thank you,
to
Tony.
work this out.
Thank you, Tony.
That was gonna, actually, at least it's short. That's the whole point of having to be a short period of time. So we don't hold up people. Okay, so second, any more discussion? All right, Shelley, please. Sorry.
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you. All right. Fire hall parking RFP. So, I put this in because so John and I had, met with a couple people, including the people from T&M, about so I don't know if all of you know this, but the reason this all came to light is one of the pieces of pavement next to the fire hall in the north side heaved over the winter, like it was
Like 3 inches.
3 inches, totally dangerous. And we started looking into whether we could fix the issue. So and it went back down as soon as frost went away. But we started looking into whether we should do something just to try to support that part of the walkway. But we also noticed that unlike the rest of the sides of the fire hall, there is no drain. The drains from the roof gutters just go straight into like this gravel pit next to the building. Unlike the rest, which all have like tubes that basically take them out and drain materials. So that's the underlying problem over there on the north side from what we've been told. And so we looked at it, and then, of course, some of the driveway over there is cracking. And then I've been approached more than once from the fire chief about the portion of the driveway that was designed to be like gravel with grass on it.
Gravel with grass.
Gravel with grass on it, which is now,
There's actually a picture in our packet that shows the grass on the gravel.
okay, so, I'm not exactly sure, I mean, John knows a lot more, I'm sure Dan does too, about how that decision came to be made, but basically they're driving on it and it's kind of a mess. So the police chief has asked if we would consider painting it. So, with all that said,
Fire chief.
oh, just,
You said police chief.
oh, sorry, the fire chief, sorry. With all that said, T&M has given us basically a proposal to do like all of the work, basically. We have downspout work, we've got, digging the ditches to get the drains out, to fill a lot of the problems with the cracking, part of which the drains are gonna go through anyway. And then a separate piece, which apparently seems to be like, 19 something, to finish paving that other section. So obviously this is far over our $25,000 limit for construction. So I just kind of wanted you guys to tell me, well, John's got another good point, when and if we also, what we want to do, when we want to do it, given the, if we have worries about state funding or anything like that. And then one of the main things I need to know is what everyone thinks about the part about paving the other gravel part of the driveway. So I figure as long as if you guys tell me what you want, I can put together the RFP and we can send it out. So with that, any ideas?
Yeah, I guess I'll just comment that I think there was, with the original building and design intent to not have a circular pathway there, because that invites people to drive around where we really don't want non-fire related people in that north half of the facility. So I think if you pave it, even if you put signage up there, people are going to drive around.
Okay.
So I guess at most, I would think if we just put better gravel down, I mean, sort of serves the same purpose, but more of a delineation between the two, along with signage. And then I have absolutely no interest in having T&M work on the joint ceiling, given the product.
Well, right, that was the whole, partly.
That's a different kind of sealing.
But you're
We're
right.
talking about sealing the entire surface, not cracks.
Well, this is joint ceiling work.
Yeah, hot rubber concrete joints is the same stuff.
And same thing with the pavement marking, which, did not go well.
Well, that was the thing so I understand, and the part of having T&M do it, right, we're gonna have to do an RFP anyway, so if we don't like T&M, then, so I guess the question is about the scope of the work, not.
That just gives us kind
This is
of
supposed to
an
be forming, so.
Right, yeah, no, this is just because this is what they have as scope of work that needs to get done.
Okay.
And not, we can't literally pick them right now anyway, so.
So technically then what you're saying is we'll do an RFP,
Yeah.
and then based on the information we get from the RFP, we can kind of pick and choose what we think is a priority off of this list if we don't want to do all of it right now, or, okay.
And if you had something you didn't, like, so if we all agree that we don't want to pave that section,
Yeah.
then I'm not gonna put that out as an RFP, I'll put out prep.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
So one of the things you and I talked about was having some course done where the driving surface needs to be repaired to find out if we can, what's under there and how much remediation needs to happen. Because if we approved what is on the paper now, sure as hell, they're gonna come back and say, well, we need to dig out more dirt, we need to put in more
I forgot about that. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
And then regarding the corner that that the current chief wants, the former chief did not want for the reasons you were stating, because there is already signage on the front drive going into the emergency side saying authorized vehicles only. And the intent was to keep the public out of that side completely.